I've been doing residential construction and remodeling for about 15 years, and I've learned a lot about anchors and the ones that I like and the ones I don't like. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to use them so you don't have failures in your home. Stay tuned. I use anchors so often, I keep them stocked in my van. There's 4 main types that I use, and I'm going to go over each one of them with you, when to use them, and their strength levels. Before we talk about anchors, I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page. I'm standing in a new construction home because I wanted to show the studs that lie behind the drywall in your house. They're laid out on 16-inch centers, sometimes 24 inches, but 16 is definitely more common. The only thing that changes that layout is when it gets to a corner, you have different size spacing, and if you have a window opening and door openings, they throw off that pattern. So it'd be nice if you could start on one side and just measure over every 16 inches and know where a stud is, but that's just not the case. When hanging something heavy on the wall, ideally, I like to try to use the stud, and you don't need an anchor at all. You can just screw right into the wood of the stud. Unfortunately, that rarely happens, and I can tell you the reasons why. First off, a lot of times when we're hanging curtain rods, the ideal spot is not here, it's more here because you want to have room when the curtains are fully open, they're not blocking the view of the window. So I generally almost always am dealing with a no stud situation when I'm hanging curtain rods. Since you don't have the luxury of seeing what's behind your walls, it's a good idea to use a stud finder first and make sure that you don't have wood where you're trying to install. You can use an electronic fancy one, but I like to use one that's just based on simple magnets. The magnets are attracted to the drywall screws and they show you exactly where the wood studs are. And one more tip before we go to the anchors, if you're ever building a home, be sure to walk around and get pictures of every wall or a video of every room. I did it in our house that we moved into 20 years ago, and I still reference it from time to time. It takes the mystery out of when you're trying to figure out what's going on behind a wall or even locating wires. Another tip for new construction, if you're ever building a home, have your framer or your builder install 2x6s or 2x10s horizontally in the bathrooms where the towel bar goes, in the kitchens where the cabinets are hung, and it'll be really handy for the installer and for you if you ever turn around and change out the hardware. You won't have to use anchors. Okay, now that I know we're all on the same page about framing, let's head to the shop and let's learn about anchors. Okay, I've brought you back in the shop where I've set up a 1/2-inch drywall demo wall so that I can go through all of my favorite types of connectors and show you how they're installed. First off, I had to actually go buy some of these because I do not use them. The cheap little plastic anchors that come with everything you buy, whether it's a towel bar, it doesn't matter what it is. They give you these little plastic different color connectors. They're junk, they're terrible. It's almost just better to just use a screw in the drywall than to use these. They pull out, they just don't last. One of the first I stock in my van are these small spiral-shaped metal anchors, and they're rated at 50 pounds. What's really nice about them is you don't have to use a drill bit to install them. They have a little point on the end, and they self-drill into the drywall. You screw them down till they're flush, and they grab on and they work great. The second anchors are very similar to the metal ones, except they're made out of plastic, and surprisingly enough, they're rated up to 75 pounds. So they're rated 25 pounds heavier than the metal ones. My only guess is it's because the flanges are a little larger and thinner, and the metal flanges on the other one break apart the drywall a little bit more. That's my theory. But you install them the same way. You screw them into the drywall. They are self-drilling, and then you follow up with the anchor screw after it. Okay, now we're getting into fancy. These are similar to the last two that I showed, but the difference in this one is once you get it up to the tight location, it actually opens up like a T and allows a place for the screw to go in, and it gives you a plate on the back of the drywall. So it gives a lot more secure holding power, and these are rated up to 100 pounds. Next up are my heavy-duty friends. These toggle bolts are super strong. They're rated to 238 pounds holding power in 1/2-inch drywall, and you can also install them in block, and they're rated up to 800 pounds. They're really strong, but they also have a learning curve in installing them. The thing that I've found, when you drill the 1/2-inch hole and stick the end in, you have to make sure that the two handles are completely in line with each other, because if they're not, the screw won't thread into the back of the wall. So I make sure they're completely in line with each other before I pull the zip tie up to the flush part of the wall. It takes a little practice to do these a couple of times to get proficient with them, but once you get the hang of it, they're not hard. But I use these on grab bars in nursing homes, and I use them on things that I don't want to worry if they're going to come down or not. Because with the holding power, if you install 2 of these on a rail, you're looking at like 400 pounds of holding power. These are ones that are not going to fail. They're the most expensive of the anchors are shown, but they're really nice to keep into your toolbox. I hope all the information I share with you helps your understanding of anchors, and the next time you need to secure one, you'll know which one to use and how to use it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. Be sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching.